now we've come to this point where we have the record finished. We sort of have a sense of what it is. Louis and I were talking about how we're going to deal with the artwork, and it was Louis' idea, I think, to engage Jaime Hernandez and see if he might want to be part of this. And I think it was a brilliant call. I think that the artwork is some of the most beautiful stuff we've ever had on a record of ours. And when I got the first shots of the artwork, it was just, man, this is unbelievably cool.
Jaime Hernandez coming into this was just, I mean, it was a gift. Like, when I was told that this was possibly happening, you know, I thought, why would he do something like this? It's not really what he does. I don't think he's ever done anything like it in the past. When it became clear that Jaime and the band were friends, or at least friends of friends, and he was willing to do it, and he came to the party, and the first sketches he turned in, everybody got electrified at the label and was like, oh my God, this is going to be the best package that we've ever had.
All right, we're at Tornado Design. This is Al Q, Jeff Smith, the principals over here at Tornado Design, Jaime Hernandez, who many know from Love and Rockets, a comic book graphic novel that he's been doing for the past 25 years now. And we're here to talk about the making of the artwork for the town and the city. So we're going to be talking about a lot of different things as far as illustrations and package design and how this all came together. Who called who? I forgot who it was.
I think you might have called.
I think I might have called. You know. Yeah.
We always wait for Louis' phone call.
Yeah, you know, when
it's a beautiful thing when it happens.
Yeah, well, thank you very much, Al. That means a lot.
It is.
It's always great to work with Jeff and Al and Tornado over here. They get it, and they're very artistically driven rather than a corporate machine that cranks out images that people can digest and comes out the other end. You know, I was really knocked out when I first opened the first copy of Love and Rockets and saw, like, my story. You know, where I grew up, all the things that I experienced growing up, and I was trying to figure out somehow I can bring him into the picture when it came time to working on some kind of art.
The fact that I was able to work with Los Lobos, I mean, that really jazzed me. I mean, I always wanted one day, to work with these guys, and I didn't know how. I'm not the type to go out there and go, hey, you guys putting together an album?
Yeah.
You guys need some art?
Well, we met that one night, ever so briefly. It was, but what, 99?
Yeah, that Latin Playboy signing.
Yeah, was it the first? It was the second record, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and we did a record signing in the bookstore, and everybody was like in line getting, autographs, and I'm sitting here, and somebody hands me a record. Okay, thank you very much, and then this guy comes up and hands me a record. I sign it, and then he says, "Oh, and this is what I do," and he hands it to me, and I shake his hand, and I just set it aside, and okay, great. And I didn't realize until I got home, and I was like, "Holy man!" And I immediately called over my son. My oldest son is ever since he was little, all about comic books, and he's got the disease real bad, so he knew everything and all about it, and he looked at it, and he was just like, "Oh man, this is great." And really, that was about it. And then I got this idea, and then coincidentally, you knew somebody that I knew, and then I talked to Jeff, and Jeff knew him, and it felt right. I knew that we were on the right track. Well, where we usually start is that I'll send out music so we can all listen, because it's really about the music. And everybody here at this table has real good sensibilities. They listen to the record and they kind of get moved by whatever the feeling is, and we take it from there. So I got records out to everyone, and then we just started talking about it. Of course, the name of the record's Town and the City, and we try to tie in images that would be would support the theme.
So you were really excited about this album from the beginning.
Yeah.
So it was different.
Yeah, it's a real different record. We spoke earlier about it just felt different, and I really wanted to make sure everybody got a copy of it. Make sure that everybody was able to digest it.
Louis basically said, listen to the record, and then work with these images, you know. And so it's direction like that is not that easy for me, because if, you know, whatever someone wants, they usually gotta tell me, you know, like, I want this, and I want that, if I'm doing something for somebody else. So so that's when I was doing all these sketches. I was like, well, something will come out of this if I keep going, you know, if I keep drawing and I do more and more and more, you know. You just got pages, and some of them don't even relate to anything. And but I was hoping that with so many images, they could at least find one, you know.
Yeah.
You know, and then that's when the idea starts to get more refined, and pretty soon it falls into place, you know, stuff like that. But in the beginning, it's like, there's a shoe, you know.
Yeah.
You know, it's just so broad, you know.
Yeah. Well, I didn't feel comfortable with you know, giving you a lot of direction, you know, because but you being real, okay. The tree goes right here, and this window should have a light in it, or whatever, you know. I wanted you to put your signature on it. You know, it was real important to me because, as being a fan of your work, I wanted you to have free reign of what to do, and without realizing that actually it was you know, I was kind of challenging you to kind of to think more about the connection between the music and the illustrations. So I don't know if you ever even listened to the record, did you?
Oh yeah.
What was interesting to me was all along from the beginning, you really strived to get something that was very simple. And I think Jaime achieved it by his real minimalist approach to these images, which is, you know, not so much really what he does. He kind of had to tone it down a little bit, but yet it's the images are really spectacular. So.
Yeah, I was really, I got really excited when you had told these guys images you liked in my comic and stuff like that. Like the images that I would have of a fence or a building, you know, that were in between scenes. And I got really excited because I love drawing those. And those are really simple. I mean, they're easy to draw only because when I start them, they just fall into place, you know. I mean, writing characters is a whole different thing, you know. I got to get in a whole different mindset. But yeah, I was really excited because I thought, wow, I could do all these drawings of just these kind, you know, and it was just really cool. And I'm just looking at one that looks crooked to me now. Look at it.
That is crooked.
It's crooked? Oh no, that's just kind of bent a little bit there. But yeah, we should probably show a couple of examples. Look at that. That is the cover of the record.
Yeah, I remember when we started off with these sketches. I was just throwing images of the street and stuff like that together, and they said they liked the light post. And so I remember I had to go out driving, looking at light posts for detail, and I just had it put a picture in my mind. Okay, that's what they look like, and I went home and drew it.
Yeah.
Because I don't use photos or anything like that.
So you don't use any reference?
I just soak it in my head, and then hopefully it stays with me when I get home.
Wow.
Yeah. Like the camper I drew here, it was all from memory. I was just picturing one that I saw recently.
Yeah.
That's great.
Stuff like that.
How do you hold that up?
Camper. And that's obviously the car is more of like a hybrid sort of thing, right?
Oh
It's a
yeah.
Jaime hybrid.
I just tried to keep
Yeah.
up with the times.
Yeah.
I think what helped this thing move faster was when they would call me up and say they moved up the deadline. You know, I swear, because that just got me cooking. You know, and you guys put some of these sketches together, and it turned into the cover, and and I remember going, okay, the lamppost and the background buildings, you know, in silhouette. Okay, here's the. You know, and you just having to hurry actually made me gears start to roll faster. If you would have given me 2 months, I would have worked on it the last 2 days before the deadline. You know, it's funny, just making me work faster actually helped this project. You know, me get all the images out. If it would have been longer, it might have. I might have just been sitting there with a blank piece of paper forever, you know.
And then every time I'd get an illustration, Al or Jeff would email it to me, and I'd open up it on the screen and just like, man, it was like opening up a Christmas present every time I got something. I opened it up, then I call over my son. He says, "Come here, look at this." And he'd come over and look, and he wouldn't say anything. He would just like walk out of the room and then walk back in and go like, "Damn, it's great." So it was just such a great experience. We had so much fun, you know, doing this because, and really, you know, to work with all these guys are, you know, just it's great. They make me look real good.
It's pretty much very collaborative. I mean, everything we do is being run through everybody. Louis, Jaime, the record company. We just all sort of put our ideas down on paper and look at them all and then try to find the best direction to go. And what else do you want to say?
I mean, I really see our role at Tornado is just kind of corralling everybody and trying to like find consensus and you know, lots of phone conversations with Louis, just trying to talk through it and figure out, you know, where we're trying to go with it. And then you know, once we start talking to photographers and illustrators, just trying to make sure they're understanding you know, kind of what the overarching theme is, but yet giving them a lot of freedom.
You can't create like the you know, what you have for reference is like your life. You know, what do you experience? You know, you can't you know, write or illustrate you know, world you're not familiar with, and you go to what's familiar, and that's what we always did. And people said like, wow, yeah, that's different. You know, these guys are view of America, and this is the way they, you know. Well, you know, my view of America when I was growing up was looking at you know, the TV set.
Exactly.
And seeing the differences between like the family that was eating dinner and my family, you know, it was
Yeah,
like, and immediately you think like maybe there's something's wrong with my family if that's the ideal,
Yeah,
right?
right.
And so you know what, we ended up writing about it, and we ended up
Yeah.
you know making, you know, pictures of it.
Yeah.
So
I remember when I was little and I was still making superhero comics for myself.
Mm.
I remember the Marvel comics tried to be realistic because they made everything happen in Manhattan, right?
Right.
And they had the skyline and all that. And I thought, well, I'm gonna have my superheroes in Oxnard, you know, where I grew up. And I just felt, I just seemed really silly walking downtown Oxnard Boulevard and seeing a guy with a cowboy hat walking down the street with groceries, and then a superhero swing by.
Yeah.
You know? And that's when it started to get like real. I just started thinking more like that. The superhero stuff is silly. You know, it's starting. It's not fitting. The more I'm trying to see my own world, and so pretty soon that stuff was just out.
yeah, but for a minute there it was kind of cool that you had like these two things that were kind of just colliding.
Yeah, that stuff. Yeah.
I mean, I got a kick out of that. You know, when we were like the first Mexican American band to win a Grammy, and I got my Grammy and I took it to my mom's house and I put it on top of the TV set by my sister's graduation picture. I got a kick out of that. And here's a TV set with a little doily.
Yeah.
You know, my sister's the high school graduation picture and a Grammy. Man, I just love that, the way that stuff collided. You know.
I'd like to see Love and Rockets and, you know, meet Spider-Man.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, the cool thing would it be on my terms though.
Oh yeah.
The other person we should probably talk about is
James.
James
We
Minchin.
can't forget about James, photographer.
Yeah.
He came up with some. Again, we told him, "What do you feel? What do you think?" And we all sat together and we kind of came up with a rough idea of what kind of images we were gonna try to look for, and we went out and we shot the scene. He came up with some great something that we haven't done before. You know, kind of portraits, and this stylistically a certain thing that he does. Again, it's something that has his name all over it.
And we had a great venue to shoot in.
Oh yeah,
That was a beautiful space.
beautiful space in downtown LA, right along the edge of the river.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'd be really great to do a book, like a little companion book, you know, that you know, of all the images, you know, that kind
That'd
of
be
tells the
great.
story of the thing. I'd actually, you know, pitched a couple of things at Jaime, but possibly doing a. I mean, he's so busy. I just something I threw out of tying all the songs together into a story, and possibly do like a graphic novel, a story that's built around all the songs. So we could take it like that. But that's just something that's out there, ideas, you know. If you're happy.
Thanks for letting me work on your record, man.
Oh yeah, thanks for accepting it. Thanks for answering the phone.
What kind of Mexican would I be if I didn't work with you guys? Once in my life.
Yeah, that's it.